All right, what's good, fam? Kyle Henderson along with Jarek from Buffalo. We're talking Alabama football right here on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Jamil Burroughs enters the Ncaa transfer portal after some off-the-field incidents. What is your initial take, and what could this mean for Alabama moving forward at the interior defensive line play?
It's definitely going to be a loss for Bama, especially when it comes to their depth chart on that defensive line. And listen, Jamil Burroughs is a 4-star guy, extremely talented guy. He made some improvements during the offseason. We're definitely one of those hard workers. Of course, has some off the field issues that he had to get sorted out, but it's just one of those situations for Alabama that it's a little unfortunate that we're coming close to training camp, but. It is what it is for him. I really do wish the best of luck for him. And like I said, maybe he can potentially come back to Alabama. Maybe he can have a change of heart. But as far as you take a look at the impact, I mean, you're talking about a guy that had a lot of upside to his game. A lot of fans believe that maybe he could step up and potentially be a rotational piece. But it just means that more key opportunities for a lot of these younger guys on the depth chart that could potentially step up. And I'm excited to see where that kind of goes. But yeah, definitely wish the best for Jamil Burroughs. Nothing bad for his part, and yeah, hopefully he can have a pretty good career wherever he lands at.
Talking about Jamil Burroughs entering the transfer portal on the last day of June. Today is July 1st. He's played in 20 games, 15 total tackles. But I think when you look to the Alabama depth chart and you look to that interior play, we clearly know that Jaheem Otis is going to be the staple, right? But behind him, you need quality depth over the course of the season, especially, when you get in goal line situations and you're trying to, stop a 4th and 1 or whatever. You want the big boys in. And I kind of like that combo of Jaheem Otis and Burroughs right there next to him. And now you kind of look to who could also step up in that place. And just because the guy has entered the transfer portal doesn't mean that he's completely gone. I mean, there's a lot of things that could still happen, but he's going to have a lot of room to make up if he does want to come back to the team or whatever it is. His exit, clearly, people know about, what happens. You can read up on it. We don't have to really dive into that, but we're looking at kind of the impact that it'll have. And you look to the guys now, James Smith, who's a freshman, Damon Payne, Anquin Barnes. I mean, those guys, maybe a Tim Smith. When we kind of look to the depth chart, which player do you think could possibly, step up and fill that void if Burroughs does, in fact, transfer out 100%?
I think James Smith this is a big opportunity for James Smith, and I think a lot of fans are going to be key on him because we take a look at him as a prospect, just how he might just be the most explosive player I think right now on this roster. That's one thing that a lot of Bama fans have been wanting for a long time is explosiveness, right? Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we've been pretty big. Maybe not as strong as we used to. I mean, obviously Bama used to go a lot bigger back in the day. And then obviously we decided to slim down and kind of catch up to a more fast-paced type of style of football. But he brings that explosiveness that we've been missing for a long time. And it's just for Smith, it's about learning the defense, learning exactly where he needs to be in certain situations on certain plays. But he has all the tools it takes to not only just be a disruptive player, but as far as pass rushing ability wise, he has all the ability of what it takes to become that next Bama great that's phenomenal in pass rushing situations. I mean, you take a look at the Jonathan Allen, you take a look at the Quentin Williams, even some of the recent guys like Christian Barmore or even a Ferdarian Mathis that was pretty valuable in pass rushing situations, or as far as some of those pass rushing sets, that's a guy that could be incorporated a lot, especially when it comes to the third down situation. So I'm excited to see what James Smith can do, only because that's the player that I think has the most upside. There's some other guys too. I mean, you look at a Latham, again, you just said it before, and Anquin Barnes, Damian Payne, a former 5-star guy that we're still kind of waiting to see if he can potentially break out or at least be incorporated heavily into the defense. But again, if I had to name that one player that I'm just taking a look at projection and as far as his future and just looking at the overall upside on this roster, it's certainly James Smith, and I'm excited to see if he's definitely going to take advantage of the opportunity, because it's one step closer for him to see some valuable playing time on this team.
When we look at a player like Jaheem Otis, we feel he's going to be the staple of that interior defensive line, 6'5", 328 pounds. We've talked about the transformation that he made from the first time he stepped on the campus here at the University of Alabama to where he is now. What type of an impact do you think he's going to have, and the overall presence? I know he's just a sophomore, but there's a lot of super sophomores in this class, I feel, from the wide receivers, a couple within the secondary, but specifically with Otis. I mean, he could be the main man with that defensive line, which is interesting to think about because you have Justin Mbogbe, who's now healthy, coming back. You have Tim Smith, who's a senior, but really the kind of focal point of that defensive line could be Jaheem Otis.
Oh, he's going to have a massive impact, and I can't wait to see what he does. I mean, you look at the things what he can do. I mean, Jaheem Otis is a guy that demands the double teams, the triple teams. He's that big, nasty guy that has been extremely crucial for this defense for years. I mean, again, you take a look at some of the greats. You take a look at, for the most part, you take a look at someone like the Mount Codys. I'm just giving them, but then you look at the Mount Codys of the world. You take a look at the Deron Paynes of the world. Quentin Williams, again, a little bit. Again, he was more of a 3-tech, but a guy that you can place in pretty much everywhere, and a guy that just automatically demands those double teams, those triple teams, and really allowed opportunities for other players to get in position. I mean, again, you take a look at some of those valuable one-on-ones that a lot of these players were able to get over the years, and just again. That valuable nose, that valuable one technique that can make everybody on the position that much better. That is something that honestly, Jaheem Otis was that guy, and he was getting a lot better and better as definitely every game that's going on. But he has a chance to really elevate his game and become that superstar and be in that next line of those greats, those Jesse Williams, Mount Codys of the world. And if he can do that, and especially with the improvements of an Agbogbe, the improvements of a Tim Smith, and again, allowing our edge rushers to get on those one-on-one opportunities. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal. So that's always been a valuable position. I talked about this last time, but that position as a whole has a lot of value, especially when it comes to the NFL. Those big nasties, those 350 pounders, they're getting paid a lot. They're starting to get paid those big bucks. So I think he has all the ability in the world, especially when you take a look at his work ethic and just his overall story. You can't help but to be impressed with what this young man has been able to overcome and to accomplish and to be a leader on this team. So I'm extremely excited to see what Otis does, and I definitely think he's going to take that next step. And trust me, we need to because we're looking to get that great Bama defense like we used to, and Otis has all the makings of the world of definitely bringing back that mentality.
Last thing I want to talk about, Kevin Steele's defensive philosophy. I think back to some of his defenses, and the thing that I've really come to appreciate after, kind of doing the due diligence of looking at Kevin Steele's defense is he's always had very physically imposing defensive linemen inside the trenches. That's why I think this impact of if Jamil Burroughs does in fact transfer out, he is in the transfer portal, but he hasn't. We've seen it before. Like the guy dips his toe into the transfer portal and then he comes back. So that's why I'm saying like I have no idea what's going to happen. So he's in the portal, which is like kind of just like a middle space. But if he does transfer out, I do think it is impactful because he's a guy that is physical, and I think him and Otis in some sort of package together is dominant. So when we look to Kevin Steele defensive philosophy, he's had some very talented defensive interior players. That's why I'm kind of curious to see what Kevin Steele overall does with the defensive line, the inside linebackers. Like you said, you love the inside linebackers, right? And the secondary, we know all the players that are coming back from the secondary. Some of them are unproven, but there's a lot of talent back there. Kevin Steele's defensive philosophy, are you excited about it? And I think we touched on it a little bit before, but what do you think he's going to, because Saban said before, and this is why I'm asking you about Kevin Steele, is he said that he's going to like coach the entire defense, and rightfully so being the defensive coordinator, but like specifically from a defensive line standpoint, what are you looking to see from Kevin Steele in kind of that defensive line under Freddie Roach?
Well, I'm extremely excited because this is going to be an upgrade from Pete Golding. And I mean, Kyle, you could have coached that defense, and I would have been excited about that hire if you would have done it. So he's going to bring that mentality back. He's someone to me that he loves aggressive physical defenses. He's not afraid to take chances. He's not going to overcomplicate certain situations. As a matter of fact, his defenses are a lot more simplified. It allows these players a lot more freedom to definitely play up to their capability, play up to their potential. And again, we talk about the interior defensive line. I mean, you look at some of the great ones that he's produced, or the last great one that was on a Kevin Steele defense. Look at Derek Brown. Derek Brown was a top 15 or I think it was top 15, top 20 overall pick. But you saw how nasty he was during that Kevin Steele run at that interior, and how he was again. It wasn't overcomplicated what they ran at Auburn. I mean, for the most part, I mean, it was extremely simplified, and you saw players were able to become a lot better than what they actually were because of the scheme that Kevin Steele ran. So taking a look at what we saw from the spring game, it wasn't, I keep using this word, it wasn't complicated. right? It was gap assigned. It was do your job. It was do your job football. And that's exactly what it should be. So I'm extremely excited to see what these players can do. Again, the talent is there. It's just about do these players, do they believe in your philosophy? Do they believe in what you're preaching in right now? Are they going to be confused of what they're seeing, or can they get it? And I definitely look at the history and from what players have talked about with working with Kevin Steele. I definitely believe that this could be a year where, not saying we're going to be the best overall defense in the country, even though they have the talent to be the best overall defense in the country. But can I see an improvement from year one working with Kevin Steele compared to working with Pete Golden over the last 3 to 4 years? Absolutely. I definitely believe that this can be an improvement.
Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys more than you know. Again, Jamil Burroughs has entered the Ncaa transfer portal. We'll keep you posted right here on Bama Football on YouTube. He's Jarek from Buffalo. We got fans from all over the country, all over the world watching right here on our YouTube channel. You want to be a part of the show? Hit me up, 505-577-5953. That is my cell phone number. You want to be a part of the show? We have the best and most educated Alabama football fans across the nation. Come be a part of the show. Let's talk Alabama football. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, on a shirt that is burning up people right here. Look, this shirt is like, right? This is I mean, I got like the eye candy going on here, man. It's hilarious. We appreciate you guys more than you know. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I'm Kyle Henderson. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, my friends, roll tide.
Roll tide.